Hello. Today we will be making a mat support for the Cricut. The first part easily slides under the machine, giving you extra support for 12 by 12 mats. The second piece slides into the first, further extending your support for 12 by 24 mats. So let's go to the workspace. Welcome and happy holidays to you and your family. I know it's been a long while since I posted the paper bead roller video. Before we get started, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to watch it. I'm happy it was helpful to so many. As usual, I've been a busy maker. I made a lot of masks during the pandemic for family, for sale, and for donation. My neighbor got me hooked on making purses, love you Liz, so I have been experimenting, creating bags with changeable features to take advantage of all the beautiful cotton fabrics out there. I hope to make a video for you on that in the future. I also indulged in some woodworking, making a few items for our home, and a sofa bed, coffee table, and TV console table for my son. 2 years ago, I got a Cricut for Christmas, and have made many small items and window designs for the holidays throughout the years. I've never been happy with the lack of mat support, especially with the 12 by 24 mats, so I designed one. It works with my Air Explorer and my neighbor's maker machine. If this would be helpful to you or someone you know, continue watching to see how you can make your own. Let's get started. In the description below, you'll find a link for a PDF document, which is all of the instructions as well as a layout for cutting your foam board. So first, you'll need 2 sheets of 20-inch by 30-inch foam board from the Dollar Tree. You need a pen or pencil for marking, a long ruler or a yardstick for marking and cutting. Metal is better as you'll be running the cutting blade along the edge. An X-Acto knife or a utility blade. Make sure you have a new sharp blade installed. It makes a world of difference. White glue or glue of your choice. As a woodworker, I have a gallon-sized glue, so I just use that. After all, paper is made from wood. And optionally, you'll need some clear packing tape and or duct tape to make your edges look nicer, and decorative paper to cover the boring white foam board. We'll talk about that later. Next, cutting. I have a large cutting mat that I place under the foam board to protect my table surface, but I realize you may not have that. A large piece of cardboard from an old box, or if you have tile floor, you can use that for cutting. The tile doesn't mind. Mark out the following pieces based on the layout in the PDF. To get the right size and the strength, you will need 2 layers glued together. So first foam board, we're going to be cutting the regular mat support base, which is 9 by 16 inch, and you're going to need 2 of those. Then the regular mat support top, 9 inch by 7 inch, again cut 2. And then you're going to be cutting the regular mat support middle pieces, and they are 1 by 7 inch, and there are 6 of those. On the second sheet of foam board, you're going to be cutting your long mat support base, 9 inch by 16, cut 2, and long mat support top, 9 inch by 10 inch, cut 2. We're going to be doing a little additional cutting on the one long mat piece, which we'll talk about later. Now for the assembly. We're going to take our first 2 long pieces, 9 by 16, for the regular mat support base, and you're going to glue them up. I figure I didn't need to show you how to do that. When you glue them up, just try to keep your edges and one end as even as possible. The end that slides under the machine, I round over the corners just so it's a little prettier. Once that's all set up, then you're going to take your next 2 regular mat support top pieces, 9 by 7, and you're going to glue those up. Then you're going to take your 6 1 by 7 inch strips, and you're going to glue up sets of 2 so that you end up with 3 sets. On one side of the board, as you can see from the dotted lines, you're going to glue 1 strip on either side, keeping them as even as possible, and then 1 across the end. Then once that is set up, you're going to flip that whole piece over. And you want the open end of the piece on this, the end that's not going under the machine, because that's where your insert is going to fit. And then the solid section is facing towards the machine. You're going to glue that up on top, just making sure your sides and this edge is as even as possible. Once you glue that and you've got it set up, and the glue does set pretty quickly, so you have to move fast to get it lined up, and then just hold it in place for a minute or two. Then that section's done. Now we're going to move on to the long piece, and you have two 9x16" boards. Here's where that extra cutting comes in that we talked about. On either side of one end, you're going to cut out a strip that's 1 by 6 inches. It can be a little less than 6, so you have some leeway when you're sliding it in. Again, I round over the corners of the tongue piece once it's done. That helps it to slide into the opening. Then what you have left is you have the two pieces that are 9 by 10. I'm going to glue those up, and those are just going to be glued right on top of the base piece, lining up the sides and lining up this edge here where you have your 1-inch cutouts, because you want that as flush as possible, because that's going to sit up against the previous board. Once that's glued and set, you now have your second piece. So as you can see, this second piece just slides right into the opening, and your full extension is made. Now, a couple of hints. Doesn't matter if your edges are rough, because you can always take a piece of sandpaper or a sander and smooth things over, make it pretty. On the edge where the tongue is, I kind of press that down a little bit. The foam board is, you know, pressable. That makes it a little easier to insert into the opening. I also round over those edges. You might also want to use the tape on the inside of the opening on both sides, and that's to prevent the paper from popping up as you're putting the insert in off and on. So now we have two pieces, but they're kind of boring. So let's beautify them. On the base piece, I've gone ahead and I've used one piece of pretty paper on the top section. That's the higher one. Then I went ahead and put duct tape around all two edges, two side edges, to make those layers disappear. Leave the opening side alone. And this is the side that goes under the machine, so you can put paper down there too. You may or may not want to put the duct tape on. That's up to you. I didn't bother doing that. On the long one, you're just going to put that on the top of this section with your tape, because the tongue you want free. You don't want any extra space, so that it can easily slide into the board. And there you have your full extension, and it's pretty. This one is made to match my machine. So I hope yours comes out just as well, and good luck.